Hello, hello, and welcome back to the E.G.C. And today we're going to be talking about SuperGirl, the upcoming movie that comes out in 10 days. Time of release of this video, time of release of the video will be coming out in 10 days, June 26th. And I wanted to give out my thoughts coming up. I do plan on watching the movie on release to give out my full thoughts on it, but I do want to talk about the couple trailers that we saw and two articles that have came out. Now, for for reference, I did read Woman of Tomorrow. I did now this is the compact version. There is a trade back and obviously you can get the 8 issues that it came through. But so there's many different ways to read it, or you could find it digitally if that is also your preference or if that's is your option. Um Definitely worth reading. This is a very good comic, very good graphic novel. I would give it a straight solid 8 out of 10. Now, in terms of the movie, because it was called Woman of Tomorrow, so at first it seemed like it was going to be an adaptation. Then James Gunn, he took out the name Woman of Tomorrow from Supergirl on the movie. So now it's just called Supergirl. So, but you would still think that it is heavily inspired by the Woman of Tomorrow and Supergirl. Or we can hope we can get as close to and faithful adaptation of the comic. Uh, it turns out from one of the articles that I'm about to show you that we will not be getting that. But from the trailer, after reading all of the comics, the only things that I see that will be carrying over, because like I said, this doesn't seem like a faithful adaptation. This seems like they're going to be taking the premise of the story. So the three things that I think that they're going to be taking is first, Ruthie. That's the girl who has the sword and was going to give it to Supergirl to help find Krim of the Yellow Hills, which is which is I'm assuming still going to be like this in the movie, but in the comic that was the one that killed Ruthie's father, and she wants revenge. And but the other thing that I think it will looks like it's also faithful to is the Brigands, which is the little I wouldn't really call it I would say it's more of Raiders kind, but it's like bigger than Raiders but smaller than an army. But that's the thing that Krim was a part of. And the last thing that seems to be faithful or seems what they're taking is Crypto getting shot. How he gets shot is different because in the comic it was a bow and arrow. It was kind of to show like how this planet was more of primitive, like they're more backwards compared to us, with cars and ships. They were still on like horsebacks and stuff. That's kind of like how they were kind of going for. In the movie, it seems like it's an arm crossbow, and but I mean, it's still a bolt, so Crypto still gets shot. So that part is the same. It's just how it happens is just slightly different. So I mean, you can call it picky, but I mean, it's kind of to show the planet, and that scene for or that panel was kind of like, hey, this is like the farthest this planet has advanced in terms of warfare technology. But this is, I guess, me being picky. All in all, that's not going to change my opinion. But everything else does not seem to be close. I don't know if any of the planets are going to be there, but those are like my initial thoughts from just looking at the trailer or I want to say 2 to 3 trailers that were out that I looked at. And but now this article over here that we have, it is showing that the Supergirl director, Craig Gillespie, he's stating that he didn't just want to do the comic book. Now, what does that mean? It's kind of like how I already explained, where he's only taking the premise of the story and changing everything else. Because we even see that in the beginning of the trailer, or one of the trailers that was out there, uh, Superman was talking to Supergirl, like, seemed like through, like, a recorded line that she's trying to find herself, and she's constantly running away. In the comic, she goes to that planet to celebrate her 21st birthday. Yes, she still has the memories of her planet of Krypton being destroyed. I mean, she lived it, so I can only imagine of how bad that was for her. So yes, that is still in the back of her head, but she is more established in for the comic book Woman of Tomorrow. She is established. She's already been hero. She's Linda Danvers. She lives in Leesburg, Virginia. So all this stuff has already happened. Like most of her life, or most of like stuff that happened in the comics, has happened before this comic. So of course, other stuff happens after this, but she's what I'm trying to get at is she is established in on Earth during the DC universe for the before the release of this comic, or in the timeline of the comic. And this one, it doesn't seem so much. But one thing I that is very kind of telling that it's not a faithful adaptation at all is that here in this article it says Glipsy tells Polygon he relied heavily on a script written by Anna No Guerrera. Now she's obviously the writer, or one of the writers that was for Supergirl, and this is the writing that he's taking. He's not taking from the comic, he's taking the from her screenwriting. And now in which she's the one that's currently working on the Teen Titans and the Wonder Woman movie that's coming out for the DCU, which this is going to be kind of telling of if Supergirl's going to be like this, Teen Titans and Wonder Woman is probably going to have a similar after effect towards this. Now, as you can see, there is some pretty cool artwork. Now, this is from the comic Woman of Tomorrow. Um, but it does keep going because Glipsy says he delivery started with Anna's what that she wrote. Started with the script that Anne wrote. So that's very worrisome. He put it together a lot of visual coming from the script, trying to make something that I would be excited about, and had this grit and flavor to Supergirl's character Kara. So that right there, I don't know why he needed to do that. If it started to be based off of of Tomorrow, you should just look at Woman of Tomorrow. You the stuff is already written. The planets that they visit to is already there. The lifestyles of some of these people already show. Uh, so I don't know why he's like I said, that part doesn't really make sense why he needed to put up random visuals for the script, but I don't know. But this is the main part. This next line is like the main part of why it it's not going to be anything faithful, because it states if you're a fan of the original comic, don't throw your phone just yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure people's phones have already been thrown at this point. Like this is at the end of the article. But it says Glypsis confirms he did eventually, that's a key word, eventually looked at the original comic for inspiration, and confirms that he borrowed some visual from Evely's work. So, borrowed and eventually, those are two key things. I don't Because, I mean, this makes it even worse because it says he looked at the original comic for inspiration. It doesn't really state that he actually read the comic, which I'm not going to say that he didn't. I'm just going to assume that he did. I'm just going to assume that Glissy did look at the comic and he's just looking back at the comic for inspiration. That's what I'm assuming. So we're not confirming that he actually did. I'm just putting out what I believe that I would hope that he did. Or I mean, It's supposed to be Woman of Tomorrow, so I would actually hope he read it. Um, but that's the first article, and that's just explaining that of all the stuff that he did do, or how it's supposed to, or why it's not going to be a faithful adaptation, and it's just going to be premise here, premise there, probably a few key shots from the comic. Like there was a part where she was sitting in the sun, and it was, well, this is another problem. It doesn't really do, I don't know if there's gonna be any real monologues, because when she was sitting in the sun, there was, like, this whole thought, and Ruthie's actually writing this whole story about the adventures of Ruthie and Kara that they all had, going to find Krim, fighting the brigands, or brigands, fighting the brigands and all that. But I don't, I really don't know if it's gonna be in there. And another thing that we haven't seen in the trailer is we don't see Comet's the horse. So maybe they're saving Comet for later. I don't know. And but this next part makes it even more worrying about the film itself, because the first part is me kind of talking about the adaptation. This next part of which we're also going to get into the second article, I will be having both links of both articles down into the description below. So if you want to check them out and read them, but the second part is more of how I feel Supergirl is going to do by just by itself as a standalone movie, not really looking into the comics, and I don't think it's going to do well. And this article kind of helps like prove my point. Now, with this one, uh, sorry, wrong one. Sorry. With this one, this is kind of stating of how Supergirl is in total for the movie, because we see up here Supergirl gets shorter as Superman gets bigger in latest cuts. Now, what's that meaning is they cut off some stuff from the movie that had Supergirl in it, and they put Superman in it in replace of it, but not completely of the replace of it, because the movie has been cut down 25 minutes. So that was like completely, like 25 minutes of the actual movie has been just removed completely from the movie. Now, that's a huge number in terms of movies. Like 25 minutes, that's a good portion of the movie itself. Now, it was originally 2 hours and 5 minutes long without credits, but now it has been cut down to an hour and 47 minutes with credits. Now, the graphic novel Woman of Tomorrow, you can definitely make a over 2 hour movie with just this. So I'm curious of what did they take out, and what do they put in. I want to see the extended version with this extra taken out stuff, because I'm really curious of how 25 minutes is about to be taken out. Like, I'm not sure when they removed this, but it's just been reported that 25 minutes have just been removed. So we're only going to get an hour and 47 minutes on June 26th. So it won't be a long movie. It'll be honestly fairly short. Movies are usually around like 2 hours, but now we have an under 2 hour movie. And another thing that also happened is that Lobo will also be getting more screen time, which means the movie is no longer just Supergirl, it's Supergirl, Superman, and Lobo, depending on how long or how much of their screen time is, which was also my honest problem about Superman when I watched it, the 2025 James Gunn's version when I watched it, because in Superman you got Mr. Terrific, Elemental Man, Hawk Girl, and Guy Gardner. So you had four different people in Superman's first movie and first solo movie in a long time, and well, in a in a few several years. So, I mean, and obviously it didn't turn out that good because people wanted Superman, not everyone else, which it was very cool to see Mr. Terrific's very first live screen debut and also Guy Gardner and Elemental Man and Hawk Girl? Yeah? No, no. So I think they used Hawk Girl for the Justice League one. We'll talk about Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, that was his first live screen debut, and he was thrown into someone else's movie, so that was very weird. Um, but those are this is how the movie currently is, and I feel that's very bad for Supergirl and her solo debut movie in forever. Like I said, Woman of Tomorrow, very good comic, definitely worth reading. Solid 8 out of 10 for me. The movie, I don't know if it's worth watching. So much things has changed. It's clearly not a faithful adaptation. So if you're looking for that, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm part of the people that was looking for that, but I'm sorry you're not getting that. Um, if you're looking for a Supergirl, hopefully, I'm just hoping that they still keep Supergirl super or who Kara is at heart. So that would be very hopeful. So that's kind of where I'm going to go because maybe it'll still be a good movie without that. But I'm curious of why they did use. I think maybe using Woman of Tomorrow was more of a promotion thing. But that's just me just assuming. So I don't know for that. But yeah, those are really my thoughts of it. Um, but let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you plan on seeing the movie in June 26th, or do you plan on waiting to watch other people's reviews? Are you like waiting for streaming? Does the trailers excite you? Did it take you away? Did you just I'm just curious about all of your thoughts of how you feel about this current Supergirl movie, and if you plan on do or not watching it. Put your thoughts down below. These articles that they kind of help change your opinion. That is all very curious. But like I said, you put all down below. These two links for the two articles will be in the description down below. But as usual, stay well, be safe, be easy, and have a good one.